In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at creating custom big note versions of digital sheet music and transferring them onto an iPad. We're going to be using a Windows PC computer to do this, and this technique will work on Windows 7, Windows Vista, and Windows XP computers. One of the things that most people complain about when it comes to trying to read music on an iPad is that the screen is just too small. It only measures about 9.7 inches diagonally. For some musicians, it's okay because the quality of the screen is so good, but again, many musicians complain it is too small. There are apps on the iPad that enable you to rotate your iPad to the side, and that will allow you to read the music half a page at a time, which will enlarge the music basically to full size. So it would be the same size as printed paper music. But if you suffer from a low vision condition and reading music even at normal zoom is still too small, if you find yourself having to constantly go to the copy store and photocopy your music and enlarge it to 150, 200, or even larger dimensions, than 200% dimensions, then this technique is going to prove very, very helpful for you, where you can see your music enlarged to an extreme degree and still view your music comfortably using an iPad and what I would recommend, a type of wireless hands-free page turning device called an AirTurn. We're going to talk more about turning pages and viewing your music on your iPad just a little bit later. But first, let's start with your Windows PC setup itself. I have a sheet of PDF digital sheet music loaded up right now. Before we get started, I want to talk about a couple of programs that we're going to be using. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to be virtually slicing up the music into smaller segments. Now, here you can see I'm basically viewing the music half a page at a time, but like I said, on an iPad, this may still be too small. What I want to do is I'm going to see if I can actually custom cut maybe one or two measures at a time. And then each of those cuts is going to become its own page in a multi-page PDF file. Now, if you are a Windows 7 or a Windows Vista user, you already have a program that works pretty well. And to find this program, go to the Windows Start menu and type in the word snipping in the search bar. And you're going to see this little program called Snipping Tool, which is a free program that's included in every version of Windows 7 and Windows Vista. The problem with Snipping Tool, I've used this program actually for many, many years. I love it actually, but one of the main problems with Snipping Tool is the fact that there are just too many mouse actions that you have to create each of these files. Let me just demonstrate what I mean by this. First, I'm going to make sure I select rectangular snip as the tool I'll use to create my files. I have the tool activated now. As you can see, the screen is kind of grayed out. I use my mouse, click with my left mouse button, and hold that left mouse button as I'm clicking and dragging my mouse to create this rectangle around the portion of music I want to clip out. And as you can see, it creates this little snipped out image file. And I could save it over if I want. It'll save this into my pictures file or wherever I wanted to put this. Now the problem is, of course, then you have to name this, then you have to click save. It's just a kind of an awkward process, and it doesn't really lend itself to making. It's good for creating maybe single snips at a time, but if you're going to be creating as many screen clippings as we need to, as you can imagine, this is going to be pretty labor intensive. We've got a lot of cuts to make if we're going to go measure by measure, line by line. The snipping tool, while it is a good tool, it's not what I would recommend. What I actually recommend is another tool called Gadwin Print Screen. With Gadwin Print Screen, we can actually set hotkeys on your keyboard and automate a lot of the process of naming the files, storing the files, and then moving very, very quickly to make the screen cuts measure by measure. I'm going to show you what I mean. So at the gadwin.com website, you go to this link to go and download the program. I'll have links in the video notes below. And then there are two versions. There's the Gadwin Print Screen Professional version, and then there's a free version. The free version is certainly good enough, and I would recommend you go ahead and do that. So it's a free program. You download it, and it'll install itself, and then we're going to take a look at adjusting some of the settings. The other program I recommend that you download would be some sort of a virtual PDF renderer or a virtual PDF printer. One of my favorite ones is something called Do PDF. And again, I'll have the link to Do PDF's website in the video notes below. Just download this, install it. It's a free program. And what this does is it creates, like I said, a virtual printer. And when you select any document that you want to print, instead of sending it to a physical printer where you need ink and paper, you send it and assign Do PDF as the default printer, and it'll create a PDF file from that document. And what's really nice about this program is that, especially within Windows, it's very easy to select multiple documents or multiple image files to print all at once. And that'll be all combined into this single multi-page PDF file. So download this one, install it into your computer, and we're ready to go. So I already have these installed. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my music. And now before we start using Gadwin Print Screen, there's a couple of settings we want to adjust. You need to go into your taskbar, and Gadwin Print Screen is going to come up as this little icon over here. All right. Right-click on the Gadwin Print Screen icon, and then go into Properties. Click on that. Now, here the default settings set the hotkey as print screen, and that's going to be fine. Just go ahead and leave that alone. When we go to Source, the default value is full screen. I want to change this. Instead of taking a snapshot of the full screen at a time, I actually want to make a rectangular area, similar to what I just demonstrated using the Snipping Tool. So make sure you select rectangular area here. For destination, you can leave this alone. By default, it'll send your clipped files into the print screen files within the Documents folder. Okay, if you really need to change it, you can by clicking this button over here, and it'll give you the option to change it to a different location, but I will just leave this alone for now. When you go into the Image option, the default setting is Windows bitmap. I would change this to JPEG. So change it by clicking on this bar over here, and then you'll see these options over here. Go ahead and click and select JPEG bitmap instead. Now, for most sheet music, you're going to be working with black and white files. So if you need to conserve space, make your file as small as possible, that might be a good thing to do. Because with color files, you may find that your page turns can get a bit slow, particularly if you start to find yourself having to create dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of pages to accommodate a sheet of music. So if you want, one option would be to set your images as grayscale, and that will help reduce your file size. So I would recommend, unless you really, really need to see something in color, for the most part with most sheet music, grayscale should be a better option. So go ahead. Once you're done with all those adjustments, click OK. You only have to do this once. Once you've done this, those settings will stay the same. Okay, so once we've done that, we're all good to go. Now, since I've set the hotkey as print screen, you're going to go to your keyboard and press the print screen button. Okay, you just look in your keyboard and look for it. Sometimes it'll be spelled PRT SCRN. It'll just leave out all the vowels. Print screen. So if you don't see those exact words, look for the abbreviation on your button, PRT, and then the second portion is SCRN. I'll have that spelled out in the video. Press that button, and voila, you have this little thing that appears. Okay, just ignore this. Let's click with my left mouse button, and you're going to see this little reticle appear. I'm clicking and holding that button, just like with this snipping tool. I'm going to hold that mouse button and drag my mouse until I draw a rectangle over the area that I want to clip. Let go of the mouse button, and then press the Enter key, and you're going to see this file appear as an image file. Press the Enter key again, and you've captured your screenshot. Okay? Now let me just show you very quickly what this looks like. Let's go into our Documents folder. And as you can see, we're going to look down over here. We have our print screen files over here. And you see it's already automatically named itself a screenshot, and it's given this number 001. And with each new file we create, it'll automatically increment that number. So that's a really handy feature, and you can automatically see which is first, which is second, so you don't have to worry about typing those things yourself. So let me go back. Now let's continue on. You can just see how quickly I can move through a large piece of music, cutting a few measures at a time, and with Gadwin Print Screen's hotkey features and being able to type out how to process these files rather than having to move my mouse, I think you're going to find it to be a much faster workflow. So again, moving my mouse into position, pressing the print screen button, click with my left mouse button, holding it down, drag my mouse. Okay, I'm done. Let go. Press the Enter key. Press the Enter key again. Press the Enter key again. I'm done. Print screen. See, I'm moving pretty quickly here. And Enter, Enter, Enter. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just cut out one measure at a time because we've got more notes here. I want to see if I can do it that way. So again, print screen. All right. One measure here, enter, enter, enter. You can see how quickly I'm doing that. Print screen. What's nice too is because when I've left my mouse in position, I don't lose my place. My mouse stays there. Enter, enter, enter. You can see my mouse is still right here, so I know this is the last measure I've just finished. So move my mouse into position. So here I'm not going to get lost while I'm working with all these measures. Enter, enter, enter. So I'm just kind of doing this pretty quickly now. Enter, enter, enter. Okay, let's just do that for right now, and then let's go back to that folder over here. Look at that. See, screenshot 002, 003. You can see all of these have been added incrementally in order. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I want to print this virtually into a single PDF file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hotkey, Control A. So I'm pressing the Control button, and then while I'm holding Control button, I'll press the A button, and then that will select all of the files within this folder. I don't know if you noticed this, but the menu options changed when I did that. I want to now print this. So what this will do is this will print all these files. Okay. Now I have another printer that was previously selected, so if you have that, you may need to change your printer. Okay, I'm going to click over here, and I want to change this to the Do PDF printer over here. So let's go ahead and change that. All right. Now there are a couple things that other things that we may need to change depending on how your settings are looking. Take a look at this. You're going to notice that it looks like it's cropped off. This is not the full measure. If you see that, move down to this option box which says Fit Picture to Frame. Click on it to remove the option, and then you should see the whole thing appear in that box. If for some reason you're seeing that the measure is looking like it's oriented the wrong way, if it's looking like it's turned to its side, go into your options over here, click over here, and we're going to go into Printer Properties. Click on that. And you're going to want to make sure that your orientation, if it's in portrait, it's going to look like this. Let me just show you really quickly. That's what it may look like if it's in the wrong orientation. Again, going to Options, Printer Properties. So what you really want to make sure is that your orientation is set to landscape. Okay? And that'll better represent the way that you've created these clips. Okay? Take a quick look at all your measures if you'd like. See, they all came out very nicely. And once you're all set, go ahead and click on Print. Now it's going to give you the option to save your file. Now what I recommend is making sure you browse and move this to a folder where you'll be able to find this easily. I'm going to go ahead and select my Documents folder, and then let's go ahead and give it a name. Let's call it Big Note Music for iPad with PC. Okay. Click on Save, and you'll notice it's going to save it as a PDF file. All right. Let's go ahead. I'm going to just always use this folder just for the future. And you want to make sure that with your file names that you always have the last three letters PDF with a dot PDF. That'll tell the computer that the associated program to open this file will always be a PDF reader. You really need those last little bits there. Okay, so you can name it whatever you want, but then make sure it has .pdf at the end. Click OK. And there you go. Now you have your PDF file. Okay, and now what I'm going to show you next is how to move that file from your PC to your iPad. Alright, now that we have our Big Note sheet music PDF file created, we're going to want to transfer that file from our Windows PC computer to our iPad. Before we do so, you're going to need a couple of things. First of all, make sure you have iTunes installed on your Windows computer. You're going to need this to be able to access your iPad for several different functions. And in this case, we're going to need to use iTunes, which is not only a music store, but it's also a file sharing utility between your computer and your iPad and other iOS devices. You're going to also want to install an app called Deep Dish Gigbook. And I'll have a link to that app in the video notes below. This is an app that you will actually install directly from your iPad. On the iPad, you should see an icon for the App Store. Tap on that and do a search for Deep Dish Gigbook. Deep Dish Gigbook is a terrific PDF reader, and it does the best job of all the PDF readers that I've seen for displaying custom created PDF files like the one we just made. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. So once you have iTunes installed, and once you have Deep Dish Gigbook installed on your iPad, we're going to go ahead and plug in your iPad to your computer using the USB cable. Once you do that, iTunes should automatically open up. If it doesn't, you can manually open it up yourself from the Start menu. You should see the music menu kind of appear in the first view. What we want to do is look in the left-hand column over here and look for the subheading Devices. And under Devices, you're going to see your iPad listed over here. Click on that, and then you should see this screen change. You'll see a summary of your iPad's characteristics. Above that, you're going to see some more menu items. Take a look at the menu item that says it's called Apps. Click on that, and then this will give you information on the apps that are loaded onto your iPad. Let's just give this a second to load up over here. Okay, I don't have my apps actually synchronized with this particular computer. It's actually synchronized to a different one right now, but no matter, we can still take a look at this. What I want you to do is I want you to actually scroll down below this view. You can actually scroll down. You can use this if you want. And below this view, you're going to see a section that's called File Sharing. This is what we want to work with. And under the File Sharing section, you're going to see a list of all your apps which are able to work with documents. Scroll down until you find Gigbook. Okay, Gigbook is again made by a company called Deep Dish. Click on the icon over here, and in just a second what we're going to do is we're going to be able to see the navigation window of all the files that are, or maybe if you haven't used this before, this may be empty. But no matter, let's go ahead and add a file by clicking on the Add button over here. Okay, and now we're going to be given the opportunity to navigate to the folder where our music is located. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to just do this by folder over here. And let's see if we can find our Big Note music. Let's go ahead and scroll down a bit. Here we go. Here's our Big Note music for iPad with PC. Now I have my computer set so that I just use a single click to select things, but in case you don't have it, you would just click on it to select it, then click on the Open button over here, and in just a little bit you're going to see that file appear. You can see it's being copied right now. Okay? As soon as it's copied, you'll see it appear right over here in this navigation window. And that's basically it. So let's take a look and see what our score actually looks like on the iPad.
Okay, so now that we've transferred our music to our iPad, let's take a look and see what it looks like. Now on my iPad, I'm going to go into the Deep Dish Gigbook app. You can see it on the bottom, the yellow icon here. Tap on that. And you can see an alphabetical listing of all my music. Let me just kind of move this aside. And under the B heading, you can see Big Note music for iPad with PC. That's the score we just created and transferred over. Let's go ahead and tap on that. And this is what the music looks like with the iPad right side up. Not bad, but if I turn my iPad to the side, you're going to see that the music gets even larger, even easier to see. So this is a great view for musicians with low vision situations. Now, you may be thinking, I only have 1 or 2 measures of music I'm reading at a time. How in the world am I going to turn pages if I need to use both hands to play my instrument? And that's where a device like the AirTurn BT105 comes in really handy. The AirTurn BT105 is a wireless page-turning transmitter for tablets and computers. It's available in configurations with 2 or 4 pedals, but most commonly with 2 pedals, and simply put that one of the pedals will, with a tap of your foot, will enable you to turn pages forwards, and the other pedal will enable you to turn pages backwards. So instead of using your finger to turn the page, you can read your music, and with the tap of a foot, move your music forwards and backwards very, very easily. You can see it's a nice big view, particularly when you're seeing just one measure at a time over here. Okay? If I tap the screen, I can see an index of all my pages and quickly jump to whichever page I want to. Another nice feature of Deep Dish Gigbook is the ability to actually draw notations right on the screen. By tapping on this little pen icon on the top here, I can now highlight things, tap on that little squiggle over there, and let's select the pen. Let's select the red colored pen over here, and I can now draw a pen marking. I can change the color if I want. And I can even erase my markings. And when I press the done up in the corner here, you'll notice that the markings stay on the page. And even after you close the app, you'll see that the markings stay right there. So it's just like marking up your paper music with pen and colored pencils or what have you, with the benefit of course, if you were to draw a highlight, there's no way that you could actually erase what you marked as easily as you do on an iPad. Pretty cool, isn't it? So those are some other features that you can have with your iPad. Turning pages, being able to mark your music up very easily. And again, with an AirTurn BT105, you can turn pages hands-free, and it becomes a great complement to your iPad as a digital sheet music reading solution, particularly for low vision musicians.